Hi, I'm Keurig Ashley, author of the international best-selling book, How Would Love Respond, and the creator and founder of Action Heroes Incorporated. And today what we're going to talk about is, well, we're going to talk about investing. And we're going to talk about what's your biggest investment and how can you get the grandest and biggest returns on your investment. And before you try to even turn off the video, no, we're not going to talk about money today. We're going to talk about something that's way more valuable than money. It dwarfs it. So don't get all freaked out and think I'm going to try to sell you shares or some kind of timeshare in Florida somewhere. What this is about what is your biggest investment and how can you get the greatest returns on your investment. And what your investment that we're going to talk about is called your time. That's your biggest investment. Because no matter how much time you put in, you're not going to get any time back. And it's very limited. The clock's ticking, and I don't know anybody who's getting any younger. So time is your biggest investment, and like any other investment, if it was your money, wouldn't you want the biggest returns on your investment? That makes sense, right? Well, the way that you're going to do that is very simple, and yet it's profoundly powerful. It's mind-blowing. So let's say that this is the life that you live on right now. Now, by the way, this is probably, not accurate, because in life, either you evolve or you dissolve. Nothing stays the same, and unfortunately in life, most people are dissolving. 65% of all Western civilizations, and pretty much it's going global now, it's not even just Western, where those people are overweight and out of shape, and obesity has now hit epidemic proportions. Here in Australia a couple years ago, like 2 years ago, we had a 10-year-old die of a heart attack from being obese. That's just crazy. It's alarming, yet, that's how many people are overweight and out of shape. So as you see, they're dissolving. I know they're getting bigger, and you're going, well, how that's dissolving? I mean, well, their health and fitness is dissolving. It's getting worse, right? So you're either growing or decaying. Your results are getting better or they're getting worse. Does that make sense? And that's what I mean is you're either evolving or you're dissolving. And, 60% of all marriages are ending in divorce, only to get married again, to get divorced again. So as you see, that's getting worse as well. Most people don't have any goals. On average, there's about 3% of the population that actually writes down their goals every year, which doesn't make really sense, because if you don't know where you're going, well, how are you supposed to get there? Also is that out of every 100 people who work 45 years of their life away, now by the way, those are the best 45 years of your life, because those are the youthful years. That's when you're young. For 97 out of every 100 people who work those 45 years of their life away, 97 out of every 100 people are going to wind up dead or dead broke at the end of that 45 years. Two kind of survive, and one walks away wealthy. So as you see, the majority of people, after all that work, all that effort you put in, are going to wind up with nothing. That's dissolving. And the most consumed drug on the planet, those are known as antidepressants. Now, why are so many people taking antidepressants? What do you think? And by the way, this is not a trick question. So the answer would be is because they're depressed. And why are so many people depressed? Well, they're overweight, they're out of shape, they have broken relationships, they don't have any goals or dreams, and they're broke. If that was my life, I'd probably be popping pills too. But anyways, the point being is there's a way to change that. We're going to just use this for diagram purposes, but I'll tell you, this right here is probably not a great scenario either, because if you're in a hospital and you're flatlining, that's not good either. But we're going to just use it for diagram purposes. And imagine if this represented 100% growth in your life. So that's the maximum Well, imagine if you improve the quality of your life by just 1%. Just 1%. Now, 1% may now sound like a lot, but imagine if you got 1% from the bank in interest on your money every day, overnight. How big would that be, right? All of a sudden, that's massive, right? So, especially when it starts compounding. So, 1% is actually quite large. And yet, again, most people probably don't do the 1% because they don't really see the power in what 1% change. And by the way, I'm not saying you can do only 1%. I'm just saying in 1%, there's massive growth. So imagine if you did more than 1%, what would be in that, right? So, but anyways, with just 1% growth, well, that puts you on a new trajectory. And as you see, if you stayed on course with that 1%, and this is 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, a decade, you see there's massive growth in that, massive results. The challenge is that most people overestimate what they can do in the short term, but underestimate what they can do in the long term. And it's in the long term that we really produce those massive results. So as an example of that, you'll see like on New Year's Eve, you know, you go out and you write a New Year's resolution. Let's say it's to get healthy and fit. And then you see people in the gym. And by the way, if you're a regular who works out in a health club or in a gym, well, every New Year's we see this influx of people who come flying into the gym, and they're all motivated, and they got the matching workout gear and the matching water bottle, and they got the, you know, the earphones on, they're all pumped up, and they got the fitness trainer. Well, what happens is they get going and they're so overly amped up and excited that they wind up doing like a 2-hour workout right off the bat. Man, they're doing everything they can do, and they get, well, after that first workout, they're so sore. And sure, they may keep coming back for a little while, but by like the second month of the year, they've already dropped off because they probably didn't get the smashing results they were looking for right off the bat. They may not have lost the amount of weight they wanted to lose right off the bat, and they wind up quitting. Now, by the way, if we're just talking about the health and fitness thing, is, you know, what most people don't understand is that muscle weighs 3 times more than fat does. So they may have actually put on weight instead of lost the weight, but because they were paying attention to the weight in the short term, it demotivated them and they wound up quitting. So as you see, they get off the path. But the key to producing this result here is what I call CDI, right? And that's very simple, and that's just consistent, daily improvement. Right? With CDI, you stay on track. You produce results that literally just smash anything you've ever done before, blow you out of the water, produce such results that you won't even recognize yourself as you get down the journey of your life. It's just mind-blowing what you can do for yourself. And the strategy for doing this is so simple that, again, people say, well, that's so simple, that can't be the answer, Keurig. If it was that easy, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, that comes back to is that thought right there is that it's so easy that it can't really be the answer, and so people don't even make the attempt. So the first thing is, don't be that person. Shift your mindset and say, you know what? There's a reason he's doing this video. You can see he's very passionate about, I'm talking about me right now, I'm very passionate about teaching you this. It's obviously a real strategy that works. Put it into action, stay on track with it, and it's mind-blowing. And the answer is a question. The strategy is a question, and that question is how can I make this better? See, that creates consistent improvement. So every day, like for instance, we're talking about the exercising again, every time you work out, every time you go to the gym, or every time you run, or whatever it is that you choose to do to get yourself into better health and fitness, well, what you want to do is you want to journal after those things, and you want to write this down in a real journal, not just loose pieces of paper, not stuff that gets crumpled up and disrespected and lost. Put this in a real journal, but the questions are so powerful. The first question is what I do great? That's going to make you feel great. That's also going to keep you doing those things that you did. Well, if you don't write it down, you won't remember to do it. The next question is the question for CDI, which is, how can I make this better? And because every day we see, whenever we put the action in, we see ourselves writing down what was great about it. Well, that makes us feel good. That keeps us on track. It also keeps us doing it. How can I make it better? Well, that's the strategy that gives us the consistent improvement. That's where we start producing the consistent, better results. That really makes us feel good, and that really helps keep us on track, right? Because you got to remember, that's a strategy question. How can I make this better? And you can use this question in every area of your life. Like, think about this in your relationship with your partner. How can I make my relationship better? Well, whatever strategies you get and you put into action, your relationship gets better. And by the way, you don't have to have a terrible relationship to do this strategy. You can already have a great relationship and make it better. How awesome is that? That's amazing, right? And then the last question that you're going to journalize is just, by what percent did I improve by? See, that gives you, again, a great feeling because you can see the growth. And if you're asking me, well, Keurig, how do I quantify or how do I qualify what percentage I give to myself? Like I said, I don't care if it's 1%. Because 1%, think about it in a year, 1% growth per day over a year, well, that's 365% growth in a year. And that's more than that, actually, because it's compounded. But it's at least 365%. Man, you feel that kind of results, you're going to stay with it. Makes sense, right? So I hope this is of real value to you. This is stuff that I work with my private clients on, is to create consistent daily improvement, CDI. Put it into action in your life, and your life will dramatically change. Until I see you in the next video, we'll have a most outstanding day.